Some people say power goes to your head. In the case of our local HOA, it went straight to their clipboard. It all started the morning I walked into my office park, a quiet, two-building complex on the edge of town that I'd owned for nearly a decade. Nothing fancy, just a solid investment with good tenants, a dentist, a CPA, and a small tech startup. Except that morning, something looked off. There were bright orange HOA parking permit required signs staked in every space. A folding table with a handwritten banner, Community Association check-in, sat right in front of the main entrance, and standing behind it like she was running a suburban boot camp was Karen. You know the type: oversized sunglasses, a walkie-talkie clipped to her belt, and an air of self-appointed authority that could choke a horse. I parked, got out, and before I could say a word, she barked, "Sir, you can't park there without a permit." I blinked. This is my office. This entire business complex is under new HOA jurisdiction, she announced proudly. We're standardizing parking, landscaping, and compliance to maintain property value. I said, folding my arms. And who exactly gave you that authority? The Meadow Springs Homeowners Association, she said, tapping her clipboard. You're within our new extended boundary. We had a vote. I almost laughed. A vote? Karen, this isn't a cul-de-sac. It's a commercial zone. She sniffed. Commercial or not, it impacts the neighborhood's aesthetic. We're just enforcing standards. I took a slow breath. Karen, I own these buildings. I am the landlord. She smirked. Well, not according to the HOA zoning map. You'll need to apply for business use approval. Oh, and your tenants owe us monthly community fees. That's when I realized she wasn't bluffing. She was actually delusional. By noon, I started getting calls from tenants. Hey, the HOA is here towing cars. The lady in sunglasses says we can't have our company logo up. One of them tried to inspect my office fridge for safety compliance. That was the last straw. I drove back over, called my property manager, and said, "Lock the gates. Now." But by the time I arrived, there were already police lights flashing in the parking lot. 2 squad cars, 1 furious Karen, and a crowd of confused employees watching from the windows. "There he is," Karen shouted the second I stepped out of my truck. "That's the man trespassing on HOA property." The officer, a calm-looking guy with mirrored shades, turned to me. "Sir, she claims you've been warned about violating HOA regulations." I handed him my ID and smiled. "Officer, I think there's been a misunderstanding. I'm the legal owner of this property." Karen gasped like I'd confessed to a crime. "That's impossible. The HOA owns this district." The officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, do you have the deed?" Karen froze. "Well, no, but the community voted to include." He cut her off. "Ma'am, you can't vote your way into owning someone else's land." I chuckled. "Would you like to see my deed, officer?" He nodded. I walked to my truck, pulled out a folder, and handed it over. Inside were the original property titles, survey maps, and tax receipts, all under my company's name. He skimmed them, nodded, and handed them back. "Everything checks out." Then he turned to Karen. "Ma'am, you're trespassing on private commercial property. You and your HOA team need to leave." Her face went white. But we're trying to help." "By towing people's cars?" he asked flatly. "They were unpermitted vehicles," she protested. He sighed. "This isn't a gated community. It's an office park. You have no jurisdiction here." Karen opened her mouth to argue, but her walkie-talkie crackled. Karen, they're asking for payment before we release the cars." Her jaw clenched. "This isn't over," she snapped, snatching her clipboard and stomping back toward her SUV. But it wasn't over, not for me anyway. I wasn't about to let this nonsense slide. The next day, I met with my attorney and showed him the body cam footage the officer emailed me. He thought I'd enjoy it. He was right. We drafted a cease and desist notice, citing harassment, trespassing, and illegal towing on private property. Then I added my favorite clause: Any further HOA interference will result in the owner exercising full rights to revoke all access through the private access road. See, the HOA's own subdivision was built with one narrow road, a road that happened to cross my land. A week later, when the HOA sent another notice of jurisdiction expansion, I didn't argue. I just called my contractor. By sunset, 2 massive iron gates were installed across the road, complete with new signage, private property, access by permission only. The next morning, I got a furious voicemail. "This is Karen. You've blocked the main route to the HOA clubhouse. This is illegal." I called her back. Calmly, cheerfully. "Karen," I said, "you remember how you said this complex was under your jurisdiction?" "Yes." "Then I assume you won't mind if I revoke your access entirely, since, you're on my property." Silence. Then a quiet. "You can't do that." "Oh, I can," I said. "And the sheriff already approved it." Click. Within 48 hours, the HOA was forced to reroute through a county detour that added 10 minutes to every commute. Their members revolted. Karen resigned from the board a week later. Now the road signs still stand, black and gold, bold as ever. And every morning when I drive past them on my way to my office, I grin. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't shouting or suing. It's watching someone realize they picked a fight on land they never even owned.